Hi, I'm Carolyn Evans-Hammond and welcome to my tasting room. Carolyn's tasting room is where you can taste exciting wines with me. And this week, we taste 3 wines and 1 ready-to-drink beverage, all of which are perfect patio pours. So today's flight includes a 2022 Mezzacorona Naturally Light Pinot Grigio, Vignetti delle Dolomiti, IGT from Italy, the 2021 Mezzacorona Pinot Grigio delle Venezie, DOC from Italy, the 2020 William Fevre Petit Chablis from Burgundy, France, and the Coldstream Clear Peach Iced Tea from Nova Scotia, Canada. Let's taste. So the first wine in our flight is the 2022 Mezzacorona Naturally Light Pinot Grigio. So this has a big 9 on the label. So it's actually only got 9% alcohol. So if you're looking to moderate your alcohol consumption, this is a smart choice. It's a mountain wine grown in a cool climate in the Dolomite region. So that's the mountainous region in Italy. So pour yourself a glass, have a swirl. I love that. When you smell this wine, it's like you can smell mountain air. Isn't that beautiful? But let's stay the course. Take a look and you'll notice it's clear and bright, which means it's stable. You want a wine that's clear and bright. It's also straw colored, which you'd expect from Pinot Grigio. It tends to be more straw than yellow, and certainly not water white, which you'd get in something like a Riesling. So everything is typical, which we're looking for. Great. Give it a swirl and a sniff. Now I led the witness a little bit, but do you notice the mountain air? I do. Now that stoniness, that sort of like wet river stones, that is from the region. Pinot Grigio, a good Pinot Grigio, will smell like that. It smells like wet stones more than fruit forward. Now there is fruit, but the fruit expression is more pear, maybe a hint of citrus, maybe I'm getting a little bit of citrus zest and citrus rind and the stoniness, which is lovely. It's not too forward, very vinous, everything you'd expect. And then let's have a sip. Sweeps in. It's a little bit more fruity than many Pinot Grigios. The fruit expression is absolutely evident. The pear is there as well as a bit of apricot, sort of white apricot. It's lovely, it's balanced, it's clean. It is lower in alcohol, no alcoholic heat, but it doesn't taste compromised or hollow. There's enough structure here. Do you notice that? So it doesn't feel like you're tasting, an alcohol that's intentionally low alcohol or had the alcohol removed. This has not had the alcohol removed, so you're still getting the nuances in the wine, which is great. So let's have a sip. We're just going to focus on the tip of the tongue to see if it's dry or sweet. Right now, it doesn't really seem like a very sweet wine, but let's see. Do you notice that? If you focus there, you can tell that there is some residual sugar. This does have residual sugar. It's why it tastes balanced and structured, because there is the alcohol is low. It's relatively low, but it doesn't taste too sweet because it's so well balanced with the acidity and the plump fruit stuffing. So have another sip. We'll focus on the sides of the palate to see how high the acid is. Oh, when you get that, when you get the wine right back to the sides of the palate, it's incredibly mouthwatering. I love that. It just makes it, fun to drink and quenching, lip smacking if you like. Scrapes the palate clean, finishes clean and dry, and it's absolutely great at the table or at a patio if you're just having, a bowl of salted nuts. Love that. This is the kind of wine you can enjoy cocktail style that way for sure, but you can also easily pair it with spicy food, because the sugar is going to cool the palate a little bit. The alcohol is not very high, so you can sort of quaff it, drink it with relative abandon. I would love to have this with spicy Thai noodles or a Szechuan dish, or even sushi. That wasabi would work well with this wine. second one in our flight is Mezzacorona's classic Pinot Grigio. This is a delle Venezie, and it's a DOC wine, so it's made in the classic style. It has 12.5% alcohol, so it's a little bit, more alcoholic than the last one, but it's still light in the grand scheme of white wines. So pour yourself a glass, and let's look at the color. Again, star bright and straw colored. Very pretty, very bright, exactly what you want to see in this glass. Give it a swirl and a sniff. This smells, this is interesting because yes, this smells like mountain air too, for sure. But there's more, more saturated pear character. It's restrained, yes, but it's saturated, it's ripe. And I like that. It makes it, smell fresh, which is exactly what you want on a patio. Smells of summer, yeah? So, quick sniff and let's have a taste. You let it sweep in, and it has a bit more weight, which is coming from the alcohol, a little bit more stony minerality than the last wine, for sure, and the finish is a little longer. So, comparatively, they're different wines, but they're both charming in their own way. So let's taste this technically. Let's just focus on the tip of the tongue to see if it's dry or sweet. It's dry, but it is not bone dry. There's a whisper or a kiss of residual sugar, which is nice. You don't notice it when you're just drinking it. But what that residual sugar does is it allows you to pour it, at a party when there may be people who don't like wines that are too dry. It also makes it versatile because you can pour it cocktail style or you can pour it with spicy food. And it's well balanced, I think, with the other elements. Speaking of which, so let's focus on the sides of their palate because residual sugar and acid always have a tension. They should always be in perfect balance. So neither stick out. So have a sip. We'll focus on the sides of the palate and my senses. It's pretty high acid. Very high acid. My mouth is still watering. Lovely. Bright acidity. Keeps it tasting lit, lifted, quenching. Again, palate is scraped clean. Lovely. Now let's look at the character of the wine. See what it tastes like. This is important because how a wine tastes is going to be pivotal in what you're going to pair it with. Now, on the nose we got saturated pear, apricot, a little bit maybe of hay, dried hay, and sea salt for sure. So there's those nuances. Let's see if any of that is echoing on the palate. What do you think? I found it swept in with fruit, apricot for sure. And then fans out with, yes, the stone fruit, but then it goes a little bit to orange rind I'm getting, and then it sifts or tapers into stony, salty flavors. And right now it's stones, it's wet stones, it's sea salt, and there's a little bitter twist at the end, which is really lovely. Makes it a little bit bitter, definitely food friendly, and it's a little bit like sucking on an olive pit, which I love. It's a classic flavor in so many dry whites from Italy. So lovely wine. This is the kind of wine you could absolutely pour at a patio, but it's really versatile at table too. I would love to have this with roasted chicken or grilled chicken, brushed with a really good barbecue sauce. And the third wine in our flight is special. It is a Petit Chablis from Burgundy, France. William Fevre makes it, and he is a very respected producer with 50 plus hectares in the Grand Cru and Premier Cru areas of the region. And this wine, I think, over delivers for their price. I mean, it sells for about $32, which is standard for a good Burgundy wine. But I think it's worth it. So pour yourself a glass and let's taste. And the glass is very clear, very bright, which you'd expect. It's also, more in the yellow hues rather than the straw hues because of the grape variety. Chablis, Petit Chablis, it's always pure Chardonnay. And this one is stainless steel fermented and matured in stainless steel vats for about 8 to 10 months. So we know that going in, so we're not going to see any wood. We're going to get the transparency of the Chardonnay flavor. So in the glass, it's very clear, very bright, so we know it's stable. We'll give it a swirl and a sniff. Beautiful. It smells pure. It smells like, if sunshine had a fragrance. Lovely. Now it smells citrusy, yes, a little bit like green apple, which is what you expect from Chardonnay, but those are restrained. They're subtle, they're sort of wispy aromas. And of course, a little bit of the minerality that you'd expect. Not quite as obvious as the Kimmeridgian grown Chardonnay, but they're still there. There is limestone, after all, in the soil. Beautiful. I love that. You could sniff this all day and it just smells so fresh. And let's have a taste. Isn't that texture lovely? It's so silky. Very pure, very clean, but the texture is lovely. That wonderful seamlessness where nothing stands out is classic for a really well-made wine, which this one obviously is. Now let's, pull that apart a little bit and taste it technically. So let's have a sip, focus on the tip of the tongue like we did before, and see if we can detect any sweetness. When you do that, you notice there is no sweetness. I think the residual sugar here is 2 grams per liter, which is basically bone dry. There's no sweetness. Now have another sip, focus on the sides of the palate, and see how much your mouth waters. Very mouth-watering. And that means it's very high acid, but you don't notice it when you're just sipping this wine, and that's because the fruit concentration is so full. It's not forward. Don't mistake this for a fruit-forward wine. It, of course, is not. But there's great extract, lots of tightly wound fruit extract, which therefore, balances the high acidity so it's not noticeable. It simply keeps the wine lifted, upright, lovely. And it's still there. Do you notice that? The finish is going on and on. Sort of, what's it taste like to you? To me, it tastes like lemon zest in stones and a whisper of sea spray. Beautiful. Let's have another sip and just sort of imagine what we would like to pair with it. It's beautiful. And there's an obvious elegance and delicacy to this wine that makes it obvious that, it's a kind of wine you pour when you want a really special bottle. It's a kind of wine that would be great with any fish or seafood dish for sure, but also with mushrooms. It would go well with sauteed mushrooms or Caesar salad, yes, with just grilled chicken on top. But I would really love it with a fish dish. Grilled or pan-fried Dover sole. Yes. So this is it's a classic wine, and it's great for patio season. And the fourth drink in our lineup is an RTD, or ready to drink cocktail. Now this is iced tea, but it's spiked with vodka, and it's flavored with natural peaches. And it's from Nova Scotia in Canada. So pour yourself a glass. I've poured mine over ice, and you notice the color. It looks like iced tea. Iced tea is such a classic drink in the summertime, but this is a bit of an adult version. It's made with Tetley tea, so a good quality name in the tea world, and it's cold brewed. So it's made in a way that's really suitable for a cold drink. So it looks clear, which you want. You also want the drink to be clear, and it's bright. And on the nose. Now this is interesting because it's ice cold. Mine is on ice, yours is probably too. Cold, dampens the aromas. So it's not wildly aromatic, and yet it's still got some aromas, right? So it smells like fresh peaches and it smells like tea, which you want because so many RTDs smell and taste artificial. Not this one, and I think this is why this one is so wildly popular right now, certainly in Canada. Beautiful. So have a sip and let's see what it tastes like. Isn't that refreshing? Now, iced tea is a classic refresher in the summertime, but this one is really refreshing in a way because of the acidity. It's got the peach there and it's sweet, yes, but there's enough acidity that holds up the drink and makes it taste quenching. Let's have a sip, focus on the sides of the palate and just see if we can detect that acidity. Notice that? Very high acid, and that's balancing the wonderful sweetness from the chin drip peaches. It's a kind of drink you imagine yourself drinking on a porch swing in the summertime. So patio pour for sure. Now let's have a taste and assess the character. What's this taste like? Because tea, good tea, is never just single note. It's complex, much like wine. Beautiful. First you get the sweep of tea and peach, but then as it cascades, you're getting the nuances that come from the cold brew tea. So there's a little bit of mossiness, some nuttiness for sure, umami character, sort of a mushroomy or roasted mushroom character, which you can find in good tea, and a little bit of underbrush and earthiness, especially on the finish. The finish is left with a little bit of tug of tannin, which is of course in tea, and that holds the flavor in place and makes it taste a little bit grown up. This is a kind of drink that you could actually pair with food. You could have it, with burgers off the barbecue easily, but you could also have it with a grilled mushroom cap, like portobello mushroom cap, grilled, served on a bun in lieu of a burger. It would work really well, bridging to the mushroomy notes in the drink. It's a kind of drink that you can pour with company, and I think they'll really enjoy it. And it's a great patio drink. Now you're set up for patio season. Stock these drinks in the door of your fridge and you're ready for the sun to shine. And don't forget to like and subscribe because I'm coming right back with another flight of exciting wines so you can drink better and learn how.